Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 405.
Hey, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the new studio. We've got a new studio, so sounds going to be interesting this week, but we are super excited to bring you a show. We are the Family Gamers. As always, I'm your host, Andrew, and I'm joined by my lovely and wonderful wife, Anitra.
That's me. We say the new studio. It's the same studio with less stuff in it and a new floor, so everything echoes now.
It's a new studio. Are you saying, Anitra, that I need to share pictures of the renovation project with the listeners? Is that what you're saying?
I think you probably should put some up on the Discord, yes.
Oh, sure. I suppose I could do that. Well, we'll talk about the Discord later. But first, we're going to talk about a fact for our episode number 405.
Yes.
First of all, Anitra, did you cheat and look at the fact?
I did not.
Okay, good. So, our fact for 405. Interstate 405 is heavily traveled by both commuters and freight haulers along its entire length. It is the busiest and most congested freeway in the United States. Do you know where it is, Anitra?
I believe I have heard our California friends refer to it as the 405.
You are exactly correct. It is called the 405. It is basically the highway that goes through LA Valley.
Sure.
That whole area.
Sure.
So I'll share a couple of interesting facts about the 405. It has the longest high occupancy vehicle lanes in California. Those lanes, not even the whole highway, but those lanes, I mean, I guess maybe it is the whole length of the highway, are 70 miles long.
Whoa.
High occupancy vehicle lane, 70 miles long.
That's a lot.
They actually also have high occupancy toll lanes where the tolls are different if you have more people in your car. Huh. You have the transponders. You actually have to change a switch on them to indicate how many people are in your car, and they bill you differently.
Cool.
They also toll you differently during peak hours and during off-peak hours.
So you say all this, I think I probably have ridden in a car on the 405 when I was a teenager, and I remember being in the high occupancy lane. It was just me and my mom, and passing by just reams and reams of cars going into LA. And I'm like, every single one of those cars only has one person in it.
Yeah. I also have been on the 405 many times, actually, in my life. I've visited the LA Valley a few times. We've got some friends in the area. I didn't know any of these things. Like, I knew that they had like traffic lights when you try to get on. And
yeah,
like,
I remember that.
You know what I mean? For like gating and stuff like that. But I didn't know all this other stuff. So anyway, that's my fact about 405. I thought it was kind of interesting. My apologies to all of you if you ride on or drive on the 405.
I have a message from our sponsor. First Move would like to make us all more aware of some of the newer scams out there that you may encounter. The most devious new scam is called spear phishing. In this scam, the scammer starts by doing their homework on you individually. They get to know your schedule, the names of your family members, where you work, stuff like that. You then may get a frenzied email or phone call purporting to be from someone you trust, always asking for money in an odd way. Our sponsor says, one person I know was out of the country. A scammer using his email address sent an email to his assistant asking them to send money through Venmo to their new account they just set up. He said he had lost his wallet, airline tickets, and phone. The assistant luckily called him immediately and found out he was doing just fine and hadn't lost anything. Even when the request seemed to come from someone you trust, verify it is actually them before sending any money.
Yeah, if it kind of smells weird, just double check.
Yeah. If you'd like to talk to someone about how you can protect your financial assets, remember you can book a free meeting with First Move at firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers.
Thanks so much to the team at First Move Financial for sponsoring another episode of the Family Gamers podcast. So Anitra, this is the first episode of September, so we are going to talk about our August monthly report. But I gotta tell you, the last week or so, we've played a lot of games. Last couple of weeks, lots of games.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
It's been really good. Lots of variety, too.
Yeah.
So let's get this party started, shall we?
Sure. So on our Monday night game night, a friend brought over the game Spots.
This game is both adorable and infuriating.
I had played this on Board Game Arena before, so I knew what to expect. It was new to everyone else, including the friend who brought it. So
I believe we pulled the shrink off the game.
Yeah. Spots is a game where you are rolling dice to complete the spots on dogs that you are trying to adopt, basically. Most of them are Dalmatians, but not all of them. Sometimes the spots are in other places.
Poop.
It's not exactly your typical press your luck game because you roll dice and then you have to keep whatever the results are and use them in the best way possible. Your luck mitigating is more around choosing an action that will tell you how many dice to roll or what to do with the dice after you roll them. There's always, I think, 6 or 8 actions out there, but every time somebody uses one, it becomes temporarily unavailable. And that's where some of the weirdness in this game comes in, because you can pick an action that maybe is not super the best for you to block it off from someone else using it. Because all of the actions are good-ish for everybody all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to be the first person to adopt 6 dogs and fill in all their spots.
Yeah, like what a wholesome idea for a game.
Yeah, it's
very
cute.
Right?
It's cute.
Are the names Pongo and Perdita like copyrighted? Because I don't remember seeing them in this game, and I feel like they really belong.
I believe 101 Dalmatians, the book, is still under copyright, so probably.
But I mean, I don't know. I guess I asked that question, but I'm like, you can't copyright names. Like, I mean, like I know people who name their dog Pongo. Like, what? I mean, I'm just surprised they're not in the. I don't know. I mean, it feels like an obvious reference to me, like all the famous Dalmatians, which are those two, and then. Well, the Fire Cat was a cat. Are there other famous Firehouse Dalmatians? I guess I don't even know.
I mean, famous Dalmatians in general. I think 101 Dalmatians is kind of lock that up.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't use all the like it becomes
obviously
a little bit too on the nose. But like, I feel like Pongo is okay. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. Spots, cute game. Had a lot of fun. We also introduced Red Letter, Yellow Letter to them, the new game from 25th Century and Nathan Thornton.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this as a party-like game. It's a great little filler when you just want to exercise your brain and shout out words.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like Red Letter, Yellow Letter works, even though it's like a tongue twister, kind of. Like, I feel like it's a very good palate cleanser.
Yeah, it's one of those games that's just really simple to explain, simple to get going. And although I would say with this kind of game, it's a play however long you want. So far, every time we've played it exactly according to the rules and exactly as long as we're supposed to.
Well, hold on. We've made changes.
Oh, okay.
We've played for length purposes where the winner needs to win 3 of each kind of card. That part we've played exactly according to the rules.
Yeah, sorry. We have made some slight tweaks as things go when nobody can choose something, although that's in the rules as well. I just don't know if we're doing that exactly to the rules. But we're playing to the length intended for the game, which, I mean, maybe it sounds weird to say, but with that kind of party game, we will often stop sooner than that.
Yeah, look, a lot of these style of game tend to overstay their welcome. And this one does a pretty good job of not doing that exact thing because the rounds are so quick, right? It's fine. It's not name as many of a thing. It's the first person to name a thing. And that moves the game along. It's got a good clip to it.
Yeah, and the way the categories and letters change around keeps it interesting pretty much all the time. It's not as hard as I would have thought for somebody to get to having 3 of each of the kinds of cards for winning.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about this game actually is that if you win a round, you get to choose, do I replace the red letter, the yellow letter, or the thing, right? Sometimes you're limited, right? If you have, say, 3 red letters and 3 things, you have to change out the yellow letter. You choose what you win, and that's what changes it. But one of the things I like about that is if you do have an option, other people can be like, please change the thing, or you know what I mean?
Please change the red letter, change the red letter.
And so you can inject some personality into what is otherwise, could be a relatively flat in terms of the personality part of it party game by being really vindictive or being kind to everybody else. You know what I mean when I'm saying this? Like, it's not it's just like, well, here's the next thing that we do with the rules. Like, there's actually some play back and forth kind of in the in-between moments. And I actually really like that about this game. It's an important thing, like for the fabric of a fun party game.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, like a lot of other party games, somebody could come in and be like, all right, I'm up for the challenge of trying to catch up. Like, you could totally do that with a game like this.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. All right, we also played more Kabanga. I think we're going to keep playing more Kabanga, basically forever. Amigo, I think last year, or maybe it was the year before, I don't even remember, they had kind of come to the conclusion that in the United States, they were going to release 1 game per year. And last year's game was Kabanga. And boy, howdy, did they pick a good one.
That was a great pick,
right.
Let me tell you.
Right, so I don't actually know what this year's pick is. I know there's some game about like literary characters and trick-taking or something like that we were looking at a little bit ago. So I don't know what it is, but I mean, if they've got another Kabanga on their hands, I think they're going to do very well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You and I played some more Floristry.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I mean, do we need to even keep talking about this game?
I love everything about that game. If you have not heard us talk about Floristry a bunch, I will link our review in the show notes, but I feel like we mention it every episode of the podcast at this point because we really like it. It's really good.
I mean, look, we talk about our date breakfasts, and the next game that we are going to talk about, we played at our date breakfast as well. But Floristry we bring to our date breakfast so often that the waitresses there, who, by the way, like, I think they're not, game antagonistic, like, but they're not gamers, obviously, because they're normal folk. But they recognize and they're like, oh, that game again, fun with the flowers. I like it. I don't know. I mean, other than reviewing the game, I don't know what else to say other than we play it so much that people around us recognize the game.
Yeah.
Also, over the last couple of weeks, in addition to playing a bunch of games, it seems like the game review season is kind of ticking up. We've gotten a bunch of stuff in for review. One of those is the game Duel for Cardia.
I have really dived into this game pretty much right away. You and I sat down and learned it, and then I taught it to our son Asher. He really likes it too. It's kind of a shame it's only a 2-player game because I think any combination of the 3 of us would enjoy playing this game.
I don't think that's a bad... I mean, the game moves quickly enough,
it
so
does.
I'm really not worried about that part of it.
This is one of the first games in a long time where, as a 2-player game, the fact that you're supposed to play multiple rounds to determine the ultimate winner doesn't bother me because the rounds go quick.
Yeah, so this is a game that is published by Hans im Glück, and I don't actually remember the last time I saw a Hans im Glück game published in the United States that was kind of at a weight that made sense for us. It's a small box card game for 2 players. It's kind of a lane dueler, sort of. But it's got a really interesting mechanic, which, hilariously, I always mess up all of the time, even though I think it's super smart.
So when we say it's kind of a lane battler, it's somewhere between a lane battler and war.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is each person picks a card from their hand, and then when both people are ready, you reveal simultaneously. And those 2 cards kind of go up against each other.
So what's important here is there are 2 decks. They are the same.
Yes.
Right? There's no deck building. None of that exists in this. It is a 16-card deck. I think it's 16 cards.
16 cards.
Like the numbers go from 1 to 16. I don't think they skip anything. It is a 16-card deck, and you are choosing which card to play in any given lane as you kind of build your... Well, not in any given lane. It's like just the next one, and then you're kind of stacked them
The
up.
next lane.
Yep.
The next lane.
Yep.
Yeah. So the thing about these cards is that both people reveal at the same time, and then the higher value immediately... It's almost like wins the trick. You get a little...
Well, they win the battle.
Signet on it. They win the battle. The card that loses the battle then has its ability fire off. Those abilities do all kinds of things, and some of them may steal the signet away from the winner. They can also affect previous battles earlier in the line, and some of them even affect the next battle coming up. There's one card that we've been seeing that's like, your opponent must play their next card face up before you play your card. So it gives you a choice, of how you want to respond.
One of my favorites is the Djinn, which the Djinn is power 16. So it's the most powerful card in your deck, but its ability, which only fires off if you lose, is you win the game.
You immediately win the game.
So there's another card, which is your next card. It gets -5 to its power. And the last time we played, the way that I actually won that round was I played the card that was -5 to my next power. And then on the next round, I played my Djinn.
And I played a card just high enough that 16 -5 would lose the battle. So the Djinn immediately won the game.
So there's all sorts of different ones. The Judge means that you win all ties. So normally if there's a tie, just nobody gets the signet. But if one of the players has the Judge out and you win all ties, then that player wins the signet. There's the Fortune Teller. There's like the Thief. There's all these different kinds of cards that do all these different kinds of powers. And the game gets really interesting when you mix all of those powers together, even though it's an incredibly simple game, right? So there's 32 cards, there's 2 16-card decks, but there's also I want to say maybe 8 locations, which do some other stuff.
Yeah. So the idea of the game is that you use one location per round. basically. Each round is like its own little self-contained game, right? And the locations do all kinds of different stuff, usually involving how you draw cards. Normally in the game, you have a hand of 5 cards, and then at the end of every round, you draw a card. If another player makes you discard cards from your hand or whatever, your hand size never goes back up to 5. You just get to draw a card at the end of the round. But some of these locations change that stuff of like, you're going to start with a really small hand, but every round you'll actually draw 2 at the end of the round. Or you have a normal size starting hand, but at the end of every round you draw 2 cards and then you take any one card from your hand and stick it back underneath the deck. So you're cycling through the cards and seeing them all faster. What I thought was the most interesting location, I don't remember the name of it at the moment, is one where every time you play a card with a lower value than the card you played on the last turn, then at the end of your turn, you have to discard the top card of your deck. So that really incentivizes you to play ascending values through as much of the game as you can, but sometimes it's worth it to do that sudden drop to use a card's power against your opponent. And it's all the more surprising because there's this additional outward restriction on what you can play. So yeah, anyway, Duel for Cardia has been super interesting. We're going to play it a bunch more. There's a second set of decks.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the fact that there's a second set of decks, which, by the way, are totally different.
We have not looked at those yet.
So I lied. There are not 32 cards, but 64 cards.
Yes. But every time you're playing, you have a tiny little deck of 16 cards, and your opponent has an identical deck of 16 cards. The rules also say you can mix and match as long as both people have the same deck and you have numbers 1 through 16. I think it's going to be really interesting to continue to dig into this. It really fits a good niche for us in that it is not a simple game, not an easy game, but it's a small game and it plays fast. And the decision space is relatively small, even though it's not easy.
Yeah, I think this game is simple in the sense that the core concepts are easy to explain. So you can play this with anybody with only a 5-minute explainer. It's just that you're going to crush them from a strategy perspective if they've never played and you have.
Yeah, it is a gamer's kind of game, but within that space, it's simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we had a game night with some friends. We played a couple old classics. We played some Merchants of Magic. We played some Get Bit. We played some Circus Flocati. And then we played Oasis, which we had played, I think, like 5 years ago with them.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like, I know we played it with you before. It's been a while. It must have been on one of our New Year's game nights. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's been 5.5 years since the last time I played this game.
Yeah, this game is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, Oasis has more of that older Euro feel to it. Like, the art's not super interesting. The theme is just kind of weird.
You're the head of a Mongolian family. I just pulled it up. Intent on becoming the most powerful land in the world. Use your resources wisely to take control of fertile steppe lands to raise horses, build sacred temples, develop caravans of camels, and control the beautiful oases. The player with the most points at the end of the game will be anointed the noble of the oasis.
Yeah, it's sort of area control-ish, except you can't push people out of areas. It's more that you're laying down different kinds of stuff to add to areas that you start early in the game.
So this is an Alan R. Moon job. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, this was published by Uberplay in 2004. It is a tile-laying game, I guess would be the most appropriate way to put it. And the way that it manages this whole area control deal is that you cannot place a tile of the same type orthogonally adjacent to another tile of the same type, unless one of those two areas, because that would then join two areas, is not claimed. But the way this game works, you would never have an area that was not claimed like that if you have any opportunity to claim it at all. So there's 3 kind of areas where you can place tiles, and there's some like little starter spaces so you know what kind of tiles are going to get placed in what kind of areas. And so as you build out these gravel sections or sand sections or whatever and put your little guy on it to claim it, you'll build it in such a way that you kind of block off an area where it's not worth it for anybody else to put their own tiles into that open space. And so you kind of create these like sheltered areas in which you can grow your tiles as you continue to add tiles. It's almost like fence building, right?
Yeah.
And then, you can fill in those fence building areas. But then I mentioned there's 3 larger areas in which you can place these tiles. So the thing in between them is, you can think of it like a river, but it's sand. So it's the desert. And in there, you're placing your camels. And camels more or less have the same placement rules as tiles. At the end of the game, you are counting your tiles times stuff. I don't even remember I don't remember.
So each one of the 4 kinds of stuff that goes on the board has a corresponding thing you can get, which acts as a multiplier.
Yes.
So like for the camels, it's carpets. For the
for
stone,
the sand, it's horses.
For the sand, it's horses. Yeah.
What we didn't talk about is actually the mechanic of this game, how this game actually works. So in, let's say, a 4-player game, there are 4 tiles that represent first, second, third, and fourth player. And then on like the first player's turn, they're going to reveal from their deck
their tiny deck.
Right? One at a time. And at any point they can stop. And that becomes their offer. And the smaller their offer, the more cards they get from the central deck that they can put underneath their deck for like the next time around that they do an offer. So those offers are going to go around to each of the 4 players in player order. And then the first player basically hands their first player token to the person with what they perceive to be the best offer. And then they take those cards, and those cards tell them like what camels they can put out, what tiles they can put out, what multiplier tokens they can take.
Yeah.
And so then that goes around. So that's how the turn order changes, but it's also how you kind of grow your stuff. So it's really good to be first because you get the first pick of the offers. But then when a later person's going, they're incentivized to put more cards out in their offer because they want to become the first player, right? And so there's this really interesting dynamic and back and forth about how the tokens get passed around the table. So there's no die rolling. This is essentially a perfect information game in the sense that, there's no secret anything. You don't have a hand of cards.
Kind of, except I feel like the revealing of the cards to make the offer, it has a little bit of the feel of like a push your luck game, especially if you're, that person in like 4th place where you're like, all right, I revealed the first card. Well, that's terrible. Well, what if I reveal another card? That's still terrible.
Yeah, but that's not, but it's still like everybody's finding out at the same time. It's not like you have a hand of cards or anything like that. The only information that's not open to everybody is technically you keep your multiplier tokens face down in a stack. So if you don't remember what somebody has, then you just don't know. But everything else is pretty much open to everybody.
Yeah.
But you're right. It feels like an old school game, and it's fine. I don't mind that it feels like an old school game. It's fine. I don't think I was blown away by it, but I feel like there's a reason that it's been on our friend's shelf for 20 years.
I would be happy to play this game anytime. Sure. It's just really interesting, and unlike so many other games that we play, doesn't hurt that I won. But I find it a really interesting game.
Yep.
I am going to mention a little snafu we had with Merchants of Magic when we played with them.
Oh, sure.
Somehow the last time we played, a bunch of the cards for Merchants of Magic got removed and thrown in one of the expansion boxes, and we didn't know that going in. So we pull out Merchants of Magic, we set everything up, and I'm just like, it's kind of weird that nobody got the
double enchantment
cards. Oh, well, let's move on. Yeah, all of the double enchantment cards had been taken out, which in and of itself is not a problem. It would just mean lower scores around the board. Except we were also playing it as a 6-player game, and so we ran out of item cards.
Whoopsie.
This was kind of a lesson, especially for the 2 teenagers playing with us, of, hey, are we having fun with the game? Okay, then we're going to work out a house rule of what to do as people run out of cards. And there was a little bit of complaining that things were unfair and whatever. Be like, well, yes, but we're going to try to keep them as fair as they can be with this situation we now have. Obviously, it would be ideal to play this game as intended, with all of the cards intended. But are we having fun with what we have? I think we are. And next time, we'll make sure that we have all of the cards in place before we start playing.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to mention it because everybody has issues like this sometimes of like, oh no, we got the rules wrong. Or, oh no, I didn't realize there were pieces missing. Sometimes the right answer is this game is unplayable as is, and we have to stop.
Yep.
But sometimes it's you know what? We can still have fun with this. We're invested in it. It does change the game, but not so much that we can't play it and have fun. It's okay to make that decision either way. So let's talk about another new one that you and I sat down and learned. We'll give this one a quick treatment because I know we'll be talking about it more in the future.
Sure.
We sat down and learned Ink. So first of all, this is a beautiful game with really cool components.
It has literally like little acrylic ink bottles in various colors. They're like
5 different colors.
The ink bottles are sort of translucent in their various colors, but they have a little, solid cap on them. They're whatever. They look like beautiful ink bottles.
Yeah.
And the cover, I mean, I know everybody hangs canvas on the wall, but like this cover, I don't know. I really like it. It's really pretty.
We've played another game that was abstract art-ish. And I gotta say, after only one play of Ink, I like how these fake paintings you make look better.
Well, that was the game from 25th Century. I don't remember, Colorscape or something like that. I don't remember what that game was called.
Yeah, I don't at the moment either.
Yeah, Ink is really interesting. I agree with, yes, it's building these, abstract art things. So Ink is really an interesting game where you're trying to use up all of your ink bottles. That's essentially what you're trying to do. And there's a list of abilities which changes every game, which is really kind of interesting. And then there's this rondelle, I guess?
Yeah.
Of tiles. And so you're moving your ink bottle, which is one of your selectors, around this rondelle to pick a tile to put into your board. And you need at least an area of 3 of one color in order to score an area, which is to put an ink bottle upside down on one of the scoring little circles and then air quote score that area. But if you have 4 to 7 squares in your scoring area, you get to fire off one of these abilities. And like I said, the abilities change every game.
Importantly, those numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are also printed on the tiles. So scoring an area is I need the right number of squares in a color to match the number on the circle that I'm choosing to cover. Mm-hmm. And when we say score an area, there are no points in this game. It is literally just about getting rid of your ink bottles. So there's also these little white spots without numbers on them. And whenever you score an area, you can also put ink bottles down on all of those white spots in the area that you're covering. So it's this interesting back and forth of you're trying to make an area big enough, you're looking for the right numbers for the powers you want to fire off, and you're looking for the white spots, and you're trying to make contiguous areas. Mm-hmm. And when you put the ink bottles down, they're going to cut up your contiguous areas. Otherwise, if you have another spot with a number, you can score again in the future.
Yeah, you can choose to not, if there's a spot right in the middle of an area and putting an ink bottle on it would break the area in half, you could score, say, a 7 on one side and not put a bottle on that circle so that later you could score a 6 on the other side. But if you put a bottle on that the first time, it'll break it in half and you won't have 6 on the other side if you want to. So it's really interesting. Strategic in that way, but it still feels like a relatively low-key game.
This is one of those games that I feel like is going to be kind of hard to explain without visuals.
You think so? Listening to me stumble over trying to explain this game?
But it was not that hard to get into, understand what we were doing, and just work through it. So we'll definitely be talking about it more in the future once we have it more firmly seated in our heads of how to explain it.
Yes.
Let's quickly go through a couple more. We've been playing more Trio.
What? More Trio?
I know. At our kids' suggestion often. It's a really great one that they will pull out when they want to play a game that's going to be, 20 minutes or less. I also played 2 games solo in the past week. I had pulled out Junk Drawer hoping to play that with the kids. They were not interested. And eventually, at one point, they were playing video games. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play some Junk Drawer solo because I really enjoy this game. I picked hard objectives and I did not do well. And then I was like, well, I can do better the second time. No, I did worse the second time with the same objectives. But I really, really still love the tile placement puzzle of Junk Drawer and the fact that unlike other polyomino laying puzzles, you can't just keep working on the same area turn after turn. You can't just build something out in one place. You have to keep bouncing between your 4 areas of your Junk Drawer, which each have a different objective. Makes it hard. The other game that I learned and played solo is one that we got in for review. It's called Mr. Postmouse's Picnic. It is a very cute cooperative or solo game for children ages 4 and up. based on the French books of Mr. Postmouse. I'll be talking about it more in the future, but it was very cute, very intuitive, which is good because it's a game for kids. Also, I lost my first game. So it's a game for kids, but it's not overwhelmingly easy.
Okay.
And I'll talk about it more in the future once I have played it more and played it with children.
All right. Is that all, Anitra? That's all we played?
I mean, we did play Endangered.
Yeah, so we the timing on this was good. So we wanted to play Endangered because right now Endangered Australia is on crowdfunding.
Yeah, and we really enjoy Endangered, but we don't play it as often as we'd like. So
it is a longer game. I would also say, by the way, go check out Endangered Australia on crowdfunding. Grand Gamers Guild, good friends of the show. Just go take a look. But we had an opportunity to take a little bit of our own medicine with Endangered. Our kids were just like not having it. We were like, come on, let's play one game of Endangered. It's been a long time, kind of in honor of the Australia thing. Really, they didn't want to play board games at all. This wasn't a commentary on Endangered. It was a commentary on their mood to get to the table and play something.
Yeah. We forced it for about, I don't know, maybe...
Just like 2 rounds.
It was just about 2 rounds. And then they both obviously were they were not having it.
Mm-hmm.
One kid was being a good sport about it, but didn't really want to be there. The other kid was just like, can I be done yet? Can I be done yet? I'm so tired. I don't know if I can focus. And so we're like, all right, tired kid, go to bed. Other kid, thank you for being a good sport. We're going to reset and play just mom and dad.
Yeah. So look, I mean, when we didn't really talk about this part. This is like an our kid thing, and I think other kids are like this too. So this is just a little bit of a last episode redux thing. I think it's worth it to encourage your kids to play a round or 2 of a game, because sometimes they will change their minds and decide that they're actually having fun. And we see that a lot with our kids. And so that's why we did that. But you better believe Anitra and I were texting under the table, like, are we stopping? Like, when are we going to do this? Like, what's going on? I think we're going to call this one. So That is something that we did. So, glad that we recently thought a lot about it and were equipped mentally to flip the table on the game and, kind of do a reset and play just 2-player, which we lost, by the way, because Endangered is not an easy game.
Especially at 2 players, Endangered gets real hard.
Yep.
But I think we had a good time. It makes me want to play more Endangered because it's a really interesting game. And I love how the challenge is different depending on what species you're working to save.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I will link to the Kickstarter for Endangered Australia, which is an expansion with 3 new scenarios with different animals: koalas, the giant barred frog, and the Great Barrier Reef. And then, as usual with Endangered expansions, there's also some additional new cards, new roles that can be folded into the base game.
And with that, I think we're going to talk about our August monthly report.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Go ahead. Embarrass me.
I'm not trying to embarrass you.
I'm going to be a good sport. I'm not going to be negative.
Okay. So in August, I had a really good August, in part because of our camping trip and in part because of game playing before school actually started up again. So I had 52 plays of 31 unique games. I played a unique game for every day in the month. My H-index was 3, and there are 3 games that I played more than 3 times, which are Trio, Unmatched, and Kabanga. Also played 3 times exactly were Backstories, Flip 7, Duel of Ricardia, and A Gentle Rain.
And keeping up my trend of trying to play as many games as Anitra plays unique games, I have 31 plays of 18 unique games. So I beat my 1 game a day. That's my goal, is 1 game a day, and I beat that. So there we go. My H-index also 3. The games are the same as yours, Trio, Unmatched, and Kabanga, probably because we play a lot of games together. But that was it. I mean, that was my monthly report. I'm still on pace as long as we play something today for 1 game a day in September.
All right. We'll keep working on that.
We're doing okay. All right, Anitra, we're going, I think, a little bit long, so why don't we delay all of our community stuff to the second half of the show? That's going to be welcoming our new community members and also our back talk. And then after that, we will get into our topic this week, which is all about theme.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Hello. So we need to open up by doing some community-related stuff. So let's do Family Gamers community welcomes and then maybe some back talk. What do you think?
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
So we welcomed our new community members on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll also welcome them on the podcast. Welcome to Alexander.
Welcome to Joe.
Welcome to Safe.
Welcome to Betsy.
And welcome to Brittany.
Thanks so much for joining the community. Hopefully you saw Nick's post about what he's been playing this weekend, and maybe you'll weigh in and talk about some stuff that you've been playing as well.
And with that, let's move on to some back talk.
Oh, shall we? All right. So last week we talked about connections, and specifically talking about video games as a way to connect in addition to board games. We always talk about playing games with your kids. We don't talk about playing board games with your kids. We talk about playing all games with your kids. So our back talk question 2 weeks ago was, what multiplayer video games have you been playing? Are they couch co-op or local multiplayer? And who are you playing games with?
So over on the Discord, Gen Z weighed in to say mainly Fortnite with my youngest sister. Or maybe he's Gen Alpha. I don't remember now.
I don't know. Gen something after us. Although I do like Kendra's response, which is fantastic. We are old school, so it's Wii bowling for us over here. My husband scoured local secondhand stores in 2020 to buy a Wii because, we sold ours years earlier, and it's a great calm experience for all four of us. But I'm putting Smash Brothers on my list to learn for this week. So, seriously, Kendra, first of all, what was it, 2 months ago that I went out and scoured the Facebook Marketplace for a complete Rock Band set? So we could play
I think it was
Rock Band
longer
with
than
our
that.
kids?
Longer than that now. It was
whatever.
before the summer. But
Okay.
yeah.
And so I'm totally with you on that one. Way to go. And also Smash Brothers, come at me, bro.
That won't be a great calm experience, though.
No, absolutely not. Nope.
Back over on the Discord, there was a whole discussion of the Lego video games, specifically Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego Star Wars.
Well, they're great because, especially Star Wars, you can get episodes 1 through 6 as one game. It's just a million hours of content.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of discussion back and forth on the good parts and the not so good parts. There's also Lego Incredibles. There's lots of these Lego games, and they are, generally speaking, great to play as a co-op. All of them have these unexpectedly rough spots where either you'll just be completely stuck on a puzzle or there'll be some kind of challenge that you just can't manage. And that's when you put down the game and walk away.
Yeah. We have been, by the way, I'll just kind of shove this in here. So Hollow Knight Silksong came out last week, and our oldest, nearly 17-year-old, is a chip off the old block, shall we say, and really likes difficult platformers. And I'm a little jealous because I just don't have the time to play it right now. I really want to. I beat Hollow Knight. I love that series. I think they're beautiful. I don't mind that it's extremely hard. I'm not a Souls person, for those of you who know what that is, but this is my jam. Hard platformers is absolutely my jam. I played Celeste, all that stuff. So it has been kind of fun. It's kind of been a co-op-like experience for us to watch her get really frustrated. Although last night I might have softly scolded her for potentially breaking one of the Xbox controllers. If that gives you an idea of what that game is like.
Well, and you say it's sort of an odd co-op experience. So all three of our kids have spent some time playing Silksong already.
Oh my goodness. The 11-year-old has?
Yes.
And he hasn't put a controller through the television?
He has learned that he does not want to play very much of it before quitting and playing something else.
Okay, good. I'm very, very glad to hear that.
But it means that he has more of a point of reference when he sees the two teenagers playing to be like, oh, that looks really cool. Or, oh, did you do this thing, from near the beginning of the game? So even though this is completely a solo game, since they are all experiencing it in the same time period, but at different rates of completion, it's giving all of us something to talk about, to talk through some of the challenges, to encourage each other. And so that's been good, even though it's not a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the co-op experience, right?
Right, exactly.
It's not the playing of the game, it's the co-op experience. But contrary to co-op experiences, you actually had responded to Kendra, and you recommended WarioWare Smooth Moves, which is, they're not even mini games. You say they're mini games. They're
micro
micro
games.
WarioWare, if you just want to laugh at something, go pull up YouTube and watch somebody play a little bit of WarioWare. What a bizarre experience that game is.
So there's a bunch of different WarioWares, but honestly, the one that was designed for the Wii, which is WarioWare Smooth Moves, is the weirdest game because it's trying all kinds of different things with those motion-sensitive Wiimotes.
I don't know if it's the weirdest, but okay. They're all
really weird, but only Smooth Moves will have you try to like balance the controller on your hand or
sure.
or
Sure.
But yeah, we have always really enjoyed those games. We go through seasons of playing them and not playing them, but it can be a great family time where you're all laughing because it's so ridiculous. Back on the Discord, we have a long list from the Joyful Jedi, so I'm just gonna speed run it. Mario Party Jamboree, Stick Fight the game for 4 players, Nippon Marathon, he says is very silly. Crawl is an asymmetric one versus many. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, which is a great co-op, but stressful. It definitely is. Heave Ho, I've never heard of that one. Tiny Brains, 2-player games with some nostalgia for him. Brothers, I believe you talked about playing that a year or so ago.
Well, that's an interesting one because I actually played that game solo.
Right.
But whatever, you can play it co-op.
Yeah. Never Alone, The Cave. He's working on Blank, which is spelled with a C at the end.
Blanc.
My youngest was into Human Fall Flat for a while. I remember that game. More on the Lego games. Castle Crashers. Castle Crashers gets pulled out in our family sometimes too. And he says he hasn't gotten to Untitled Goose Game yet, but it looks really fun, and so does Unravel 2.
Eric Johnson pipes up and says he loved playing It Takes Two and Split Fiction with his son. So much variety and level design. We have played It Takes Two. We've talked about these on the show a lot. And, I mean, we're cheap, so I'm waiting for Split Fiction to come to Game Pass, and then Anitra and I will play that together. So we really enjoy those games.
Also waiting for the time for the two of us to sit down and play a video game.
You know what? I'm going to blame it on being cheap and waiting for it to hit Game Pass and not talk about the time.
Sure.
Eric also says that his son loves Gang Beasts. You mentioned that, Anitra.
Yep.
Eric doesn't love it quite as much. But if you want a co-op puzzle platformer with similarly wonky controls, I'd recommend Human Fall Flat, which you just mentioned.
Yes.
But our number one go-to multiplayer game is Spider-Heck, another game that our kids play and love and scream at each other a lot. It's got a versus mode and a co-op mode. It's just so fun slinging webs and swinging lightsabers, tossing bombs, and shooting missiles at each other. We've been playing it for years, but every time we still have those crazy did you see that moments. So Spider-Heck is a game where it's a one-panel game with some kind of piece of construction in it. And everybody plays a little spider, and you're all jumping around the board trying to kill each other, basically. It does say it's got a co-op mode. I don't know what's happening in the co-op mode. My kids have never played it in co-op.
No, it's always trying to take the other people out or just trying to do wacky stuff while you wait for the other people to accidentally die. Back on the Discord, there was some marching band conversation, and then Jeremy said, my wife and I enjoy playing Borderlands locally together because we can both use our Steam Decks. Or sometimes we'll play games like Terraforming Mars or Pandemic, because I have a large collection of board games on Steam that we can play.
Oh, I love that. Last one on the Facebook, Nick Martinelli weighs in and says, Luigi's Mansion is a great couch co-op. The missus and I like point-and-click mystery games on the Switch. We've done a bunch of those over the years.
Cool. And looking at the Discord, the rest of the conversation is even more marching band stuff. So, yeah, I'm trying to route that into a separate discussion, but it keeps coming back up into the Backtalk channel. So you're welcome, everybody.
Well, one more that I will add that Anitra and I play a lot is, well, not anymore, but there's a game called Escape Academy, which was on Game Pass for a period of time, which is how we found it. It is escape rooms. It's a 3D first-person game where you can play cooperative escape rooms. It's a little bit janky, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, a little bit janky as a mid-budget first-person game. It just has some jank in it. That's just how those games end up. But it's a lot of fun. Most of the puzzlers are super smart. And once in a while, there will be like a versus race thing, basically, where the two of you are kind of racing to get through. It's almost like an obstacle course of mini puzzles.
Yes.
Is the best way for me to put it. But those games are really fun and, it's just a blast. And the base game was on Game Pass and then we bought the expansions for it. And now that it's not on Game Pass, I'm probably just going to turn around and buy the game so we can actually finish the expansions.
So we can do more with the expansions.
Yeah, but that one was a lot of fun. Escape Academy.
All right. And that's our back talk for this week.
Right. I guess that, Anitra, gets us into our actual topic. How's that sound?
Yeah. So last time we talked about connecting with your kids through things other than board games. Mm-hmm. We're kind of more back on brand this week, talking about board games.
Yeah. So it's going to be theme this week. Is theme an important thing when you play board games? if it is, when is it an important thing when you play board games? So, I mean, I think we'll start kind of at the top. Like, there's this great debate, theme versus mechanics, right?
Right. I mean, I'm going to be that little kid and be like, why not both?
Porque no los dos. I mean, of course.
But I think, is theme important? Sometimes. I love abstract games. Our daughter loves abstract games. Sometimes theme gets in the way of just having a clean, simple game that's really easy to get into.
I mean, I might go a little bit farther than that and say that it's not necessarily sometimes. It could be sometimes for some people, and it is all the time for other people. Or it's none of the time for certain people, right? There might be folks, look, most Euros like have kind of a pasted on theme, and theme just doesn't really matter all that much. And a lot of people really like that. They want the purity of the experience. And theme can just fall by the wayside and it's not a big deal. But others really, really care about that. I mean, Stephen Bonacore, Board Games Insider, The Podfather Gaming, yada, yada, yada. He's a huge theme guy, right? He loves Lord of the Rings. He's always talking about how theme is the most important thing, and he really just wants to have fun with his games and blah, 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 blah. And that's a perfectly valid take. But there's other people that really, really appreciate the elegance of the experience. And so that's really what they want to go for from a mechanics standpoint. And they really, really like that. And that's also a perfectly valid way to play games.
I mean, I think if even a couple of years ago you had asked me, I would say that I personally didn't care about theme and I care a lot more about elegant mechanics that mesh well.
Sure.
I have changed my opinion a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Because theme is more than just like, oh, like there's some art and in theory, you know, there's a thing. A well-done theme can make the game hold together better in your mind.
Okay.
Like a well-done theme shapes the mechanics of the game in a way that makes you feel like you are really doing something. It helps you join that magic circle of I am willing to set aside, you know, the world outside the game and just focus on what we're doing right here, right now.
Yeah, I think different people are better at that and worse at that, right? But in the context of, you know, our show, I think kids are better at this than adults.
Yeah, well, I think if you hang out on spaces like Board Game Geek for any length of time, you will see parents there talking about how their kids are really interested in the quote-unquote grown-up games because of cool pieces and cool themes, and maybe they can't handle the mechanics of the game yet, but you pull out the pieces and let them just make up a game of their own doing with what's there. And I think that says something about kids being attracted to not just art, but theme. Like, oh, we're going to be firefighters in this game and we have to rescue people. Then the mechanics come in of, okay, well, how do we rescue people?
Mm-hmm. This makes me think of some games that feel like they're a more adult game, but actually aren't. And an example that I would use, the one that popped into my head, was First Rat. That's a game where it felt like it had a very adult kind of theme to it, but it was actually a fairly simple game and younger players could play it. And it was really super engaging for us, even as adults.
Yeah, one that looks very adult and turns out to not be is Mountains from Haba. We've talked about that one before, but the idea is you're doing day hikes, like climbing day hikes. So it's got this much more adulty kind of art all about mountain climbing and the equipment you need to mountain climb. But it's got elements of theme of like you are stamping stamps in your little trail book, which makes it so engaging for a kid. And for somebody who does that kind of stuff, you know, in the real world climbing, they're like, oh, I get it. I get what we're doing here. We're trying to collect stamps for our book.
Right. Again, I think that kids in general are more prone to allow themselves to be pulled into stories. Yes. Are more prone to allow themselves to be pulled into, whether it's a book, whether it's a video game, whether it's a movie, whatever that thing is, right? We always talk about kids and encouraging them to explore and imagination and all of this stuff. And because of that, theme when we talk about board games is actually really important for kids. We find that theme is very helpful when, you know, trying to get kids to play games.
And when we say that, not just having a well-done theme, but having a theme that appeals to your kids. We mentioned at the top of the show that we were trying to play Endangered, and our kids were just not having it. You know, this idea of we're saving endangered animals, we could sometimes sell that to them, but in Endangered, you're saving endangered animals the way people do it in the real world, which is a little bit of interaction with the animals and a lot of interaction with government and bureaucracy and fundraising and stuff like that, which I think feels really cool and interesting, but I understand why a lot of kids would not.
Yeah, well, I also think that, the animals that were available, I mean, I don't know, one of our kids picked the giant panda, which is very cute. But I think if it was a sloth or like a red panda or something, these animals that we, talk about all the time at home and how cute they are and how much we want to have one. Okay, maybe just me. But, I think that kind of thing might have pulled, even within the context of Endangered, might have pulled the kids in a little bit more because it's something that they actually feel some investment in. And so, we've talked about some other games. We have in for review Hi-Fi from Smirk and Dagger, which our 11-year-old that is his jam, right? It's a game about a record player. Well, it's a game about mixing music, but it's all presented in a record player, which is something that he has. Or another game that we have for review, Horrified Dungeons and Dragons. We have a kid who is DMing campaigns, and so that's something that he's super interested in. So a lot of the time, it really does come down to finding what the theme is that applies to your kids. And by the way, that's going to change over time.
Yes, it is. I mean, I mentioned firefighters. We definitely have not played a firefighter game in this family for, 7-8 years now.
We used to have it, but we've moved on.
We also played some little kids games that had a firefighter theme, and just that's not appealing to any of our kids anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
That's fine.
But also, I do need to point this part out. This is a time in which it is important to talk to your children. And here's why I say this.
Yeah.
So we live in Massachusetts. I am a fan of baseball for a while. I like the Red Sox. I used to love the Red Sox. I used to get a lot of Red Sox related gifts because people knew that I liked the Red Sox. But over time, it's okay, do I really need another do I need a Red Sox tie? No. Do I need a Red Sox this or Red Sox
Red Sox Legos?
Yeah, I mean,
off-brand.
Whatever. The point, why am I bringing this up? We have this tendency, sometimes grandparents will do this, for example, where it's oh, I have this vague idea that you like this thing. I'm going to buy you all of the things like that thing. Here's the counterexample. Our 17-year-old daughter loves Ticket to Ride. If I were to say, I listened to the Family Gamers podcast, episode 405, and they talked about themes, so I'm going to buy you a bunch of games about trains. That would be the wrong thing to do.
Bad choice.
Right? She just happens to like Ticket to Ride. So as we talk about this idea of themes and themes being important, it's also really important to remember that our kids don't just like a certain game because of the theme on the game.
Yeah, this is not a hard and fast rule.
No.
If we were going to buy our 17-year-old daughter a game, sight unseen, the only themes that I know would make her willing to at least try it would be something with cute food or something with dragons.
Can anybody recommend a marching band game? Because I would do that too.
She would probably do that too.
She would at least try that game. That would be great.
But anything else, I would have to test the waters more and be hey, this is like this other game that you've enjoyed. Would you be willing to try it? So this is where theme is really important, and separating out theme from other aspects of games that you might like or that your kid might like. But this is also why our age lists, our gift suggestion lists, the ones for older kids, the 7 to 10 list and the teenager list, are kind of separated out by theme more than difficulty level or anything like that, because it's important to know oh, hey, my kid they really just want to get up and move all the time. Okay, that's what Throw Burrito is for.
Yeah. We mentioned at the top of the show, we had a game night with some friends and the whole Merchants of Magic crisis and all the other stuff. The kids were downstairs playing Throw Burrito. And at one point, they burst up the stairs and were sprinting circuits around the house trying to chuck burritos at each other. It was
because it's basically burrito
chaotic.
Dodgeball.
It was hilarious. It was so funny. But I do want to point out something else that's really important here. Theme is not a cure-all.
Yes.
So theme is something that will help you kind of move the needle a little bit in one direction or another. So one example of this would be, we know that Anitra doesn't really love super heavy games. It's just not her thing, and that's totally fine. But we have this game from Devir called Lacrimosa. And Lacrimosa is this gorgeous game basically about Mozart.
It's about Mozart's life.
Yes.
And composing his final work.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It is an incredibly nice production. And because this is a theme that Anitra really likes, even though this game is a little bit heavier, she really likes this game. Like, if I pulled out a game with similar production quality, similar smooth mechanics, but it was about launching spaceships, she'd be like, meh.
I'd be like, I'll try it,
Right.
but probably only going to play it once.
Right.
Lacrimosa just clicks for me. It's not even just that I enjoy the theme, it's that I have more background knowledge. And so all along the course of the game, I get sort of little dopamine hits of like, oh, I recognize that piece of music that just came out, or I'm aware of how this location influenced Mozart's work. And so the elements of the game keep pulling me back into the game because I'm so invested in the theme.
So this would be, the functional equivalent of like a mega comic book nerd watching an MCU movie and actually appreciating all the Easter eggs that the Russo brothers put in them. Like, right?
Yeah,
where it's
kinda.
like,
Sure.
Like, okay, so like I enjoy playing Lacrimosa, but like I don't get all of the references that you get. But I actually enjoy playing the game for other reasons. Whereas somebody who doesn't read comic books enjoys the Marvel movies because they're, fun popcorn movies to watch. But somebody who's like a mega comic book nerd, like when the Guardians of the Galaxy are walking through the collector's collection and they see all these different things, they're like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know what that, you know what I mean? So it's a different way that people can interface with games and potentially draw different things out of them. And so, for our kids, theme can be really helpful for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. But like you said, it's not a cure-all. We talked about dragons. There have been more than one dragon-themed game that we have tried, and it's just fallen flat because the theme was there, but the gameplay was eh.
Right.
So it can work, but obviously the perfect solution is a marriage of theme and gameplay and art that all work together and really pull you in if you are interested in that theme.
Right. I mean, I know this is going to be a shocker, but at the end of the day, we come up with the same advice that we come up with for so many of these podcasts and podcast themes, which is it's really best if you know your children.
Fancy that.
Yeah. All of that to say, as we're talking about engaging with our kids and connecting with our kids, and last week it was video games, and this week we're back on board games. If your kids don't love board games, or if you're trying to connect with them and this isn't the first place that they would go, theme is another way in which you can try to get them involved. Like, I think years ago, we talked about Red Raven Games' game Megaland, which is heavily inspired by kind of side-scrolling video games.
Yes.
And that was a game that we had recommended to a bunch of people, and I don't even know if it's still in print. But just as an example of my kid only wants to play video games, how do I get them involved? Blah, blah, blah. On the flip side, Mantic Games is a company that makes a lot of video game themed games. We recently released our review for Worms, the board game. Worms is an older video game where you're a bunch of worms and you're blowing each other up, and it's hilarious and it's very funny. But they also make a game based in the Halo universe. So it is a very complicated, tactical, basically 3D shooter in a board game. It's not cheap. It's not an inexpensive game. But if you are a parent and you are just desperately trying to connect with your child who plays a lot of first-person shooter style games, something like this is a possibility. I think it was Arcane Wonders that released the Call of Duty game. So a lot of these things are out there, and they're probably more, these ones are a little bit more on the complicated side, but I think the misnomer here, or the misunderstanding here, is, our kids don't like complicated games, so we have to get easy games so that they're, willing to play something because it doesn't take a lot to figure it out. But if your kids are like super into FPSs, they're probably smart enough and technical enough to understand these complicated games. They just aren't interested in them. This is an opportunity where you can use a theme to say like, whoa, it's a Halo game? Well, okay. And wait, I get to play with these little guys and they're all over this 3D terrain, and we have to just kind of figure out the rules around how all this stuff works. Okay, like I'm in on that, right? But if you're at home and you're playing, I don't know, World's Fair 1893, and you're playing Catan and you're playing Ticket to Ride and your child is sitting on the couch looking over and like, that looks boring.
Or
you know what doesn't look boring is a bunch of people shooting each other from the tops of buildings.
What's that winemaking game that's really popular among gamers?
Viticulture?
Viticulture. Like, talk about a theme that's probably not interesting for most children.
But you see what I'm saying, though, Anitra? Like, this is not about our kids aren't willing to interface with a complex game. It's about whether or not their interest in the subject matter is enough to get them over the complexity. And I think we need to like respect our kids' intellect and recognize that sometimes if the theme is of enough interest to them, they're down.
They will be willing to try a much harder game than they would otherwise. I mean, that's exactly what has happened so far with this game, Hi-Fi. It is really right on the edge of being too difficult for our 11-year-old because he's 11 and he's not a huge gamer. But the theme is enough to get him over that hump and say, yeah, man, I want to keep working on this. I want to keep figuring it out. Mm-hmm. The same thing was true of the Shovel Knight game, which our review for that just went up. Long overdue, but it is now in the wild. And you'll hear him say in the review that it was a really hard game. It is a really hard game. But that doesn't mean he doesn't enjoy playing it, because that theme of the side-scrolling video game of Shovel Knight and all of the guys they can use makes it interesting enough to feel worth it, to put up with it being really hard.
Mm-hmm. So that's a huge level of variance, whether it's the theme could be so important that it'll get them over a pretty big hump versus the theme is just moving the needle a little bit. I don't think you can expect the big hump unless, you really know your kids well, which is why this is all about knowing your kids. But it is absolutely possible that could happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're like a minis gamer, like if you like your Warhammers and all that stuff, those Halo games or any of those kind of heavily themed tactical shooter games, like that could get your kid off of FPSs and into your world. Like there's a spectrum that you can travel along, or it might even just open them up a little bit to just kind of consider like, oh, I actually like this Halo game. Like maybe there's something here. Maybe this world that I have been rejecting actually has something for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that leads us into a backtalk question for this week.
I know this is going to shock everybody, but our backtalk question this week is really just, where are you on the theme bandwagon? Do you care about theme? Do you not care about theme? Do you believe us when we tell you that theme can help get players who might not normally play a certain kind of game to play that game? What is your favorite theme? What are the games that you like to play the most? Anitra, what is your favorite theme?
I mean, I think it came up already. I see so few games with that sort of classical music background that seeing that in a game will always pique my interest and get me to at least try a game that otherwise I might not have been interested in. Like we said, Lacrimosa is the obvious one, but also Ovation, which we haven't talked about in a while. Ovation is a really interesting game, a lot easier than Lacrimosa.
Yeah, you haven't made me play that one yet. I mean, I'm more than happy to play it. I shouldn't even say it like that, but you know what I mean.
But something like that, for me, will pull me in right away.
Okay.
I actually didn't expect it with Hi-Fi, because Hi-Fi is much more like rock music themed, but it's abstracted enough that I still feel the music part of the theme without being pushed away by the rock part. How about you?
Yeah, so I think old school me would say like the fantasy stuff is probably my theme, of choice. I don't know anymore. It's definitely not sci-fi stuff. Like I like watching sci-fi stuff and reading sci-fi stuff, but like playing sci-fi stuff is meh for me.
It's funny because I've said the same thing in the past. Like I love reading sci-fi, but sci-fi games, most of them just don't do it for me. So
yeah. I almost want to say like a lot of like, remember The Magnificent, like a lot of those games that are kind of roaring 20s style, like Great Gatsby, whatever. Like I like stuff like that. The Great Split has that kind of feel to it. I think I'm going to say like near history, going back to the whole Tesla versus Edison thing, like things like that. World's Fair 1893. I really like those games a lot. I find that themes where there's something anchoring it at least a little bit in history, I really like.
Okay.
Things like that I think seem right now to be the things that are the most pleasing to me. I don't know that that's like a hard and fast thing, but I think I'm grabbing onto things like that more than I am fantasy stuff these days.
All right, cool.
So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with what would you call that? Near history? I mean,
History within the last 100 years or so?
Yeah, that's sure. Let's go with that. That's my my theme of choice.
I mean, that goes all the way up to like you really enjoy Watergate and Pan Am and stuff like that, which is, in the last, 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to put these questions on Discord and in our Facebook community. Where are you on the theme bandwagon? Do you care more about theme or mechanics? And what is your favorite theme? Or even do you think we're full of it? Do you think theme does not matter for kids at all? What's your take? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
So there's lots of places you can go to kind of share your thoughts. You can find us online on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube at Family Gamers AA for Andrew and Anitra. You can also find us on Blue Sky.
You can join the Family Tabletop community on Discord, which is us and several other family-focused content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord to get an invite.
Yep. There is a channel in there specifically for Backtalk. Or if you are on the Facebooks, you can go to thefamilygamers.com/community to get into the Family Gamers community, or just search for the Family Gamers community. It's really not hard to find. You can join up with almost 1,100 of your favorite friends and answer our Backtalk question there.
You can also email us if you don't like social media or you want your answers to stay private.
Andrew at thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra at thefamilygamers.com. All of this information is in the show notes at the bottom.
Show notes
at the bottom of every single podcast.
Yeah. So YouTube truncates our podcast show notes because Anitra does a great job, but I promise they're all there. And if you are on YouTube and you want something, just go to thefamilygamers.com and you can read the whole thing.
You can see all of it and all of the links and all of the things. Speaking of YouTube, that is one of many places you can listen to this podcast. You can also find us on Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, of course, Apple Podcasts. I listen on Overcast personally, but we publish a plain RSS feed, so your podcast catcher of choice can listen to the Family Gamers podcast.
So please subscribe to it and tell all of your friends and really just everybody you know about the podcast. So we would appreciate that very much. We mentioned YouTube. Obviously, that means you can find the podcast on YouTube Music. Pull it up, give us a listen while you're toiling away at work.
The Family Gamers is still sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers to learn how the team there can help you pile up the victory points and show them that you're grateful that they support us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're certainly grateful.
We're super grateful.
All right, well, that is it for us this week. Anitra, I think tonight is open game night at our house. Maybe some Ovation? Get some of that theme in?
Maybe.
All right, so that's going to do it for us. We'll see you all in a couple of weeks. But until then, play games with your kids.